From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
You want to go where to buy a new refrigerator? Steve's A to Z Appliance in Cottonwood? In Cottonwood? Just a 10-minute drive. And they'll save us money. New and used, honest, reliable, factory-trained repair service and parts, and they'll save us money. And dispose of this thing? We gotta make the short drive to Steve's A to Z. Thanks, son.
Steve's A to Z Appliance, front and main streets in Cottonwood. Drive a little, save a lot.
Happy holidays from Weather NorCal and our sponsors. Have a wonderful holiday season.
Well, happy Friday to you. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Krueger. Thank you so much for joining us here on Weather NorCal. Hoping to have a good start to your day. Before we get to Krueger's Quickcast, let's just take a look at the headlines, show what we've got and what we're watching here and monitoring here as we go for the next several days. Number one, the fog. It's still going to be a factor here again this morning. Very dense fog in some areas here, so just allow a little bit of extra time for your morning commute, especially if you live in the Sacramento Valley. Some of those mountain valleys too, especially in Trinity County, probably seeing some patchy dense fog as well. But that should most likely burn off sooner than we did yesterday. We'll take a closer look at that here in a second. The wet weather pattern I've been talking about all this week, it's still slated to be here by this weekend. Snow levels will be fairly high though, 5,000 to 6,000 feet, eventually dropping maybe a little bit lower than that by around Christmas Eve. First day of winter is tomorrow. It's the winter solstice, the shortest day amount of daylight for the year, but the daylight hours will get longer after that. All right, here's a look at Krueger's Quickcast. For your Friday, December 20th, we'll get you out the door. Yes, we've got that fog. You may want to give yourself a little bit more time, especially if you live in the valley, for that morning commute. Trinity County, maybe some of that patchy fog as well as the coast. And by the way, there may be some sprinkles out there, especially along the coast as well. We still have that beach hazard statement until 3 o'clock this afternoon. Sneaker waves, it's those large rushes of water that can come at you unexpectedly and can be a dangerous situation. That's through 3 o'clock today. We still have the dense fog advisory until 11 o'clock this morning. And again, as I mentioned, it is a possibility that we may see it burn off a little bit sooner than yesterday. So as we go through the morning hours, we still have some pretty low visibility out there. There's 8 a.m., we take you to about 10 a.m., still some low visibility. But by midday, you see how it's beginning to break apart. We're seeing better visibilities out there. That continues through the afternoon, and we may eventually see a little bit more sunshine for the second half of the day. Different story than it was yesterday, right? Yesterday, we didn't even get out of the 40s for your daytime highs because that fog, even though it was a little bit higher, it still stuck around a little bit longer and didn't give us much in the way of sunshine for the end of the day. There's the next storm system. It's butting up against the ridge of high pressure, so the clouds are still going to be in place, and it is still strong enough that it may bring us a sprinkle or two, but the main rain event won't be here until this guy moves in, and that will be tomorrow morning. So here's Futurecast. There you can see what's happening. You see this rain, it's trying to hold on, and there could be some sprinkles, especially in the mountains, maybe even the valley through the day today, off and on, but overall just mostly cloudy, dry conditions, fog dissipating by the second half of the day today in the valley, and then that first push of heavier rainfall will move in as we go into the early morning hours on Saturday. But by the way, even at 5 a.m., still dry off to the east. That comes in later on in the morning. The winds will be a little gusty along the coast, central Siskiyou County here for today. Otherwise, the rest of us, not very strong. They'll pick up even stronger as that storm system moves through on Saturday. I think everyone will see gusty winds at times as the main cold front passes through on Saturday. But on either side of that storm system, overall, the winds won't be bad for most of us. Temperatures today are solely going to depend in the valley on when that fog burns off. The sooner it burns off, the warmer the temperatures get. The longer it takes to burn off, the cooler the temperatures. You think about yesterday as an example. Didn't really burn off, so we saw temperatures only in the mid to upper 40s in the valley yesterday. Since it's expected to burn off a little bit sooner, I've got on average mid-50s. We take in the mountains, we've got temperatures mid to upper 40s there, low 50s Trinity County, and out along the coast, we're looking at temperatures somewhere in the low 60s. Let's take a look at that 7-day outlook, and there's that wet weather. Off and on rain for everyone starting tomorrow through next week. Some days, heavier rain than others. Some days more sunshine than others. It's off and on. That's the case for the coast, inland, and for Trinity County. How about Siskiyou, Modoc, and the eastern mountains? Look at this snow level, 6,000 feet on average, give or take. They may drop a bit on Tuesday, maybe even a little bit more for the day after Christmas. And by the way, it still looks like everyone is looking for the most part dry on Christmas Day. All right, that's your Quickcast. Hope you have yourselves a great day if that's all you needed. But stick around because I've got a lot more to talk about, more detail on the storms coming through next week. Before we get to that, though, I want to remind you that you can watch Weather NorCal on your big screen TV. Yes, I'm not on the TV airwaves, but I have a Roku and an Amazon Fire Stick app. Download those for free. You're watching the free 24-hour streaming channel. You can see all kinds of other great information too. You got the 7-day forecasts, and of course, we've also got those current temperatures. You don't have to have a Roku Fire Stick though. If you have a smart TV with YouTube on it, just search for the Weather NorCal YouTube channel. Not only on the YouTube app can you watch the 24-hour streaming channel, but you can also watch on demand my latest video forecast. How cool is that? So check it out. I think you'll really like that. You can watch me on your big screen TV. All right, let's get into the deeper dive forecast. There's that next storm system approaching. As I mentioned, it's still butting up against the ridge of high pressure. The clouds will continue to be a factor. Rain, not so much. However, still, as I mentioned earlier, maybe some sprinkles. That Saturday storm system coming in. Now, I want to illustrate, and we're just going to take you through time. There's a batch of moisture. All of these storms that are pushing through have plenty of moisture to work with. All right, so there you can see as we go through next week, there's Monday, right? There's Monday into Tuesday, a stream of moisture, maybe a bit of a break. Then we have another and really a nice, strong, healthy batch of moisture that'll be aimed at us by the middle and latter part of next week. This is going through Thursday, Friday of next week, another nice, and this is really by definition, that narrow column of moisture aimed right at Northern California, otherwise known as, yes, you know it, an atmospheric river. And let's talk about that because that's part of the weather story. The moisture content that we're getting with these storms are associated with atmospheric rivers. And as you know, atmospheric rivers have plentiful moisture. So you see these spikes here, those are the atmospheric rivers events. Now, keep in mind, not all atmospheric rivers are the same. AR1 the weakest, AR5 the strongest. You'll notice we're nowhere near that. We're mainly looking at beneficial rainfall. There may be eventually over time some minor localized flooding and of course some gusty winds associated with some of these systems that pass through as well. But another thing you'll notice, there's short spurts. We're not looking at a prolonged period where that atmospheric river is pointed at us for 2-3 days. You think about that several weeks ago, right, where we saw that. But that's going to be these short spurts of these atmospheric rivers, so the impact won't be as great. The main impact will be the rain and the healthy rain that we'll get out of those as well. So let's take a look at Futurecast, walk you through the timing through the weekend. Again, as I mentioned, we may see some passing sprinkles throughout the day today. Maybe even some clearing initially before the first storm system pushes through. So this is the first push of moisture at 5 a.m. The valley westward seeing that rain. We're still fairly dry for the eastern mountains, but by around the mid-morning hours, we start to see a push eastward. There's the main band of moisture. By the way, gusty winds along the main band here. The winds die down behind it, and so do the showers. By midday, it's drying out for the valley westward. Still some rain and snow in the higher elevations to the eastern mountains. As I mentioned, 5,000 to 6,000 foot elevations. There could be some chain requirements tomorrow afternoon for some of those higher mountain passes in the eastern mountains east of I-5. But by really mid-afternoon, it's for the most part drying out. Yes, there may be some leftover drizzle because now at this point the air is fairly saturated. And we could see another small little push of moisture early Sunday morning. But really, we're going to have to hold off until Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, before we see the next round of heavier rainfall pushing on through. And then, of course, more coming in that behind that on Monday. Rainfall totals through Sunday afternoon are going to be upwards of, say, 1/2 inch to 1 inch in the valley, about the same for the coast, less up to the north and east. So again, some healthy rain in a matter of 2 days. Pretty good. Snow. Well, we're not seeing any snow accumulation in the lower mountain communities or even the higher mountain communities. You have to go above 5,000 to 6,000 feet before you start seeing some of that significant snow. But as I mentioned, keep an eye on those road conditions especially for Saturday and even into Sunday afternoon, as we could be looking at maybe some chain requirements over some of those higher mountain passes east of I-5. So let's just kind of stop you, walk through timing. Now keep in mind when we're looking at this, this is the long-range forecast model. It will change on the timing and intensity day by day with each forecast model run. But this will give you a general idea. And quite honestly, over the last 3-4 days, the long-range forecast models have been very consistent in the timing and intensity. So here we are Saturday. There's that rain. Of course, we saw that a little bit earlier. Late in the day, Sunday night into Monday, next round of rain. Then we see the next round of rain Monday and into Tuesday. There's Monday. You see, again, some stray showers there. We take you into your Tuesday. We have a trough of low pressure that's coming in. Now, that's going to allow some cooler air to cool down. That could lower the snow levels. So from 5,000 to 6,000 feet Saturday, Sunday, Monday, to maybe down to 4,000 feet on Tuesday. Okay, then we take you into Christmas Day. A little bit of a ridge right here, so that's going to keep us, looks like still dry for your Christmas Day, but then the day after Christmas, another trough of low pressure, maybe even slightly lower snow levels. I've got them down to possibly as low as 3,500 feet on Thursday. This is going to have impacts on your mountain travel if you got to travel on either side of Christmas. That's the day after Christmas. Let's take you into the end of next week, Friday, right? More rain, more potential for snow in the higher elevations, and it looks like as we go into the weekend after Christmas, there's still going to be some chances for rain in the forecast. So how much can we expect long range through Thursday at least? How about 3 to 5 inches of rain? How about 5 to 7 inches of rain along the coast? Now this looks like a lot. And it's something to be, you might get concerned about it, but this is in a span of about 4 or 5 days. It's healthy rain, but we're getting it in spurts, not all at once. So that's going to help us recover between these events. So there you can see the Climate Prediction Center still has us in these darker shades of green, indicating better chances of above normal rainfall. Smaller chances with a lighter green, bigger chances as we go into the darker shades of green. And that's where we are through the end of the month. You can also see warmer than normal conditions. What that means is snow levels not dropping as low as they could. Take a look at the ski report. If you're heading out to the ski park, today is a good day. Saturday, if you like skiing in the snow, you might be okay. But see, that's going to be the big question. We're talking about snow levels between 5,000, 6,000 feet, and in some cases even higher than that. I do think, unfortunately, as much as I hate to say it, I do think that there is the potential for the ski park, especially the lower part of the ski park, to see all rain at times throughout the weekend. Then otherwise, you're looking at kind of a rain-snow mix and even some snow too. So there will be a little mixture throughout the weekend and even into early next week. I want you to be aware of that. It could be a little wet over the weekend. But let's take a look at the forecast models are indicating as we go through Saturday and Sunday. It's showing the lower end of the ski park about 6 inches of snow, and of course about twice that as you head up to the upper part of the ski park. So yeah, that looks pretty promising, but again, keep in mind, it may be a very wet snow and it may be just very wet in the form of just rain. I don't think it's going to be enough to melt all the snow up there, but we could lose some of the snow, unfortunately, as a result. Just something to take into account. The winds as we go into 5 p.m. today, there you can see central Siskiyou County, still a bit of an issue here. Let's take you into Saturday. So as the main cold front passes through Saturday morning, you see how the winds along the cold front are really picking up even in the eastern mountains. Even the valley seeing some breezy, gusty winds at times at midday on Saturday. But by Saturday afternoon, as the storm system moves out, the winds die down. I am anticipating, though, that the winds will pick up for the coast and central Siskiyou County on Sunday. Unfortunately, not as bad elsewhere. So also at the ski park, rain may be a bit of a concern, but also the gusty winds are something you've got to take into account really today, off and on, all the way through the weekend. There's your wave heights for today. Taking you to Saturday, those wave heights are increasing. So what we have here for today is a small craft advisory. When we look at your marine forecast, those winds fairly gusty out of the south at about 15 to 20 knots. So here's your Trinity County neighborhood forecast, low to mid 50s, off and on rain, 6,000 feet down to 4,000 feet by Tuesday. Your North Coast neighborhood forecast, Off and on rain starting tomorrow, but today, just some sprinkles under mostly cloudy skies and temperatures in the low to mid 60s. 62 degrees for Smith River, 59 for Gas Key, 51 degrees in Orleans. Siskiyou County, maybe a passing sprinkle, otherwise mostly cloudy. Temperatures in the mid to upper 40s for your daytime highs today. Modoc County, also the chance for some sprinkles here today. Temperatures otherwise mostly cloudy and temperatures upper 40s to low 50s. Eastern Mountains could even see a few sprinkles with temperatures mainly in the 40s and 50s there. Off and on rain going through this weekend and next week. There's your Valley Neighborhood Forecast brought to you by Walgamuth Painting. Temperatures in the low 50s. As I mentioned earlier, these temperatures will depend on how quickly the fog burns off. The quicker it burns off, the warmer the temperatures will get. The longer it takes to burn off, the cooler it will be here for today. Let's take you up north, 55 on average. We'll call it mid-50s on average, again, depending on that fog. 53 degrees for Whiskeytown and 55 in Lakehead. Here's a look at your 7-day outlook for Redding. First day of winter is tomorrow, the winter solstice. And then, of course, we've got that wet weather here off and on through next week. Still looks like everyone will see a break from the wet weather on Christmas Day. That's why the Christmas tree is dancing. And of course, on either side of Christmas, though, we do have those showers for Tuesday, Christmas Eve, and also on Thursday. That's your morning update. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be back again this afternoon for your latest forecast.